Hi everyone, how's it going? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome back to an episode of Podio Commentary. Today I'm joined by my friend Little Movie Perp, and we are going to be talking about the brand new, hyper gory, pretty freaking awesome Evil Dead Rise. Perp, I know you've been excited to talk about this.
Yes, I have. I've been super hyped.
Is
Super
it
hyped.
now you've been kind of hounding me for a while about Evil Dead. You've been like, we got to talk about Evil Dead, man.
Yeah, man. Uh,
So
I- Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what's your history with the franchise
I got to direct an episode in season 3. Season 3. I
of
won't
Ash
say what
versus Evil
episode.
Dead?
Yeah, of Ash versus Evil Dead. Yeah.
You directed an episode of Ash versus Evil Dead in season 3.
Yes, I won't say what episode, but I
What?
did.
You just like whatever the best one was. That was me. I did that
Yeah.
one. That was me. That was all Little Movie Perp.
Yep.
People fervently on IMDb. Who the fuck is Little Movie Perp? No, that's awesome. For one, I didn't know you told me you worked on it, but I didn't know you directed.
Yes.
So that's nuts. Now I feel like a dick for having not seen season 3.
It's okay. No one.
I actually haven't seen any of the show outside of the pilot episode, and that was mostly because
Sam Raimi.
it was Sam. I wanted to see it. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I think for me, what it was is I didn't have stars at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I had seen the episode, you could argue surreptitiously. And then I'm like, all right, I just don't have it. So I'll wait for it to come out on like Netflix or something. And I think that's what a lot of people did.
Yeah.
And I know that the show, according to reports, is one of the most pirated shows of all time.
Yeah.
And
I think it was always second to Game of Thrones.
yeah, Game of Thrones was massively pirated. And
Yeah.
and what's so funny about that is the response to the piracy is vastly different, right? So in regards to Game of Thrones, the producers flaunted those numbers. They did. They flaunted those numbers like, yo, man, we had like 4 million people watching HBO. We had 4 million people watching illegally on the internet. Like, and that's only the numbers you know about. You know, it's way different now because they track it with the torrents.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they track those downloads, right? But now there's so many more ways. You have no way of knowing internally what it is, unless they actually know. I honestly think to some extent, like some of these places actually upload the content themselves to gauge what like free fans would say about it as a waiver. Because the thing with Game of Thrones is they knew that like the piracy led to DVD box sales.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why didn't that happen with Ash versus Evil Dead? And I'm just wondering if it's also because it's a much more niche market rather than Game of Thrones. But I do think also it's stars.
Mm.
And I know that Sam Raimi has had a relationship with stars. You obviously have, Spartacus. He was a producer on with Rob Tapert.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Spartacus. I think Spartacus is a great show. Once you get past that wonky first season, seasons 2 through 4 are great. But then it's like, so there's that. So I think that's one of the things. And I mean, do you know if they own the rights to Evil Dead or is it owned through a greater company?
I have no idea, actually.
Okay, because I would kind of wonder if they did that. But anyway, it's we've gotten a couple different iterations of the franchise in recent years. With 10 years ago being the Evil Dead movie Fede Alvarez made,
Mm-hmm.
which I liked quite a bit. I thought that was an entertaining one.
Yeah.
But then again, it still missed the one element that even this movie kind of missed, and that was Bruce Campbell. I mean, it's like you talk to most people about Evil Dead from 2013, and it's like, hey, what was your favorite part of that movie? And like, oh, the whole thing was really great, but like, what do you think of the post-credit scene? Oh, no, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Just Bruce Campbell simply saying groovy is what drove a lot of fans to that film, I think.
To the first remake?
To the first remake, yeah.
Okay.
What I should say that I think it also kind of led to the Ash versus Evil Dead getting off the ground because that was only a couple years later. Yeah, right.
How much longer?
It was
Yeah,
2015.
was, and the show was in 2015. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
2015 or 2016 was the show. It came about relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not too sure about this. But this particular movie, though, I thought had a bit of an interesting kind of beginning, right? Because, this one, Lee Cronin, is a relative unknown director. And, he had gotten to know Sam Raimi during the production of 50 States of Fright, which, I don't know how you felt about Quibi. I was one of the only people out there that actually sat back and went like, Quibi's onto something. They're on to something. The problem with Quibi is that they released it at the worst possible time. It's like they spent all $6 billion, I think, in development or whatever, is what Katzenberg spent on it, something like that. And they put it out. It's scheduled to release, and then what do you know? Global pandemic.
Damn.
No one's leaving their house. So the concept of Quibi in regards to mobile viewing and water cooler viewing has now gone out the window. So they were kind of screwed from the get-go. But, you know, did you ever watch the 50 States of Fright?
No, dude, honestly, I've never heard of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What is
So-
that? Now you
so-
got my
So,
interest.
okay, so it's an anthology show.
Okay.
It's an anthology show. It's produced by Sam Raimi for Quibi because, like I said, when they were doing Quibi,
Mhm.
they went to like a multitude of different, you know, production houses, like even like big celebrities.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Hart did one on there called Die Hart.
Okay.
Um,
I've seen that. That's being shopped. I guess that's some other places too. Or
Well, that's what happened. So when Quibi went under,
Mhm.
Roku came in and bought and picked up the rights to everything.
Yeah.
And they've kept some stuff going, actually. I was really surprised at, like, Reno 911
Mhm.
has kept going. Also, there's another one that they're still producing, Die Hard 2, Die Harder. That's the other one.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot that goes on with that. Like, I was really surprised with that because there's a lot of great content on Quibi. And there's one where it's Anna Kendrick. This is called Dummy. I know we're getting off topic a little bit, but this one's called Dummy, and it's kind of pseudo based on a true story. It's a story about a woman who is dating Dan Harmon, the writer, and the guy who runs Community and Rick and Morty, and she finds his sex doll, and in her mind, the sex doll comes alive, and they end up going on adventures. They have an adventure, and that's like the show.
Damn.
It is based on a real story, by the way. It
Hmm.
is written and developed by the woman who is dating, who I think she's still with Dan Harmon,
Mhm.
and it's really based on his own sex toy. Like, she actually found a full-size sex doll in his house.
Did they do Lemon together?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe, I have no idea. But Dummy is an interesting one that was on
Okay.
Quibi. But so anyway, the idea of Quibi, to kind of just summarize that, is that when they were working on it, they had wanted to, like, you know, again, it was like short 5 to 10 minute quick bites of content that could be watched either vertically or horizontally, right? Landscape or portrait. And the way that they designed the technology for the portrait mode was that it would actually, instead of just being like the center of the screen, it would dynamically move to focus on on who's talking. It was edited in order to be able to make it look like you're watching a TikTok video that actually, like, is well done. You know, like something that's shot for TikTok, it feels like. It's the best way to describe it now.
Damn.
And back then, you know, 2020, right? TikTok hadn't blown up like it has now. Vertical video wasn't the rage that it is now. And so Quibi had this concept of doing it like that. And, you know, so you could sit there and watch it while you're on the subway, watch it while you're on the toilet, whatever. And you could go either landscape or portrait. And it worked really well. And the stories were interesting. They were quick. They were going to come out every day. So you could actually generate that water cooler content. Like, you go to work in the morning, yo, dude, you see the new episode of Dummy last night? Oh, I was sick. And that's what they were working on. And it's such an interesting and unique concept that I think if they released it now, it would actually have a better shot. But Sam Raimi was one of the ones who had developed the 50 States of Fright for it, which was just a horror anthology. And it was here that he actually established a working relationship with Cronin. And at this point, he recognized Cronin's potential.
Mhm.
And it was during this time that Raimi then encouraged him to pitch a unique take on the Evil Dead series, which then led to the development. And so according to Cronin, he says that this was his Hollywood moment. He had a brief 15-minute pitch with Raimi and Rob Tapert. After presenting the pillars of his story, Cronin received the news that Evil Dead was his to direct, with a caveat that it was also his to lose if he didn't get it right.
Based.
Now, I think he got it right. I do. I have some beefs. I have some squabbles with the film, which we'll get to.
Mm-hmm.
But I ultimately think he got it right.
I agree. I think you got it very right.
You were kind of
I think
hesitant on that with it. You paused a little bit. I was
I
like,
was
oh,
I was giving you a little more space. Remember, I told
oh,
you earlier, it's like I gotta wait for people to finish, man. 'Cause I
sure,
always jump
sure.
on people. So yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think you got it right. I think it's what Evil Dead should be in many ways. It's different from the other one, right? That's what
Well,
all
and
the Evil Deads are.
I think that both works for this movie and then also against this movie, to be honest with you. But at the
Hmm.
same time, it works more for it. I think the big thing for me was the opening of the film, which felt very much like they were trying to kind of harken back to the originals.
Mhm.
I felt that the cold open was not very well done, and like I said to you beforehand, I feel like a lot of that was done. The marketing
Sure.
kind of showed a fair amount of that, and I'm like,
Did they
okay,
show the title?
they didn't show. I don't think they showed the title card.
I
Um,
loved that title card.
I
I thought
hated it. I hated it.
first
I rolled
disagreement.
my eyes.
First disagreement. I thought it was the best title sequence I've seen. Well, at least title card I've seen in a while.
It
Long
was
while.
unique. It was definitely unique, but I don't think that, the way they did it, there was so much of a visual juxtaposition when she
Mhm.
comes out of the
Yeah.
water and then it rise up and I'm just like, all right. Like,
So
okay.
much
Like,
visual juxtaposition in an Evil Dead movie. You don't say.
yeah, but it's like, I feel it would have worked better with like a black on red background, kind of like what
Yeah.
we've seen in the marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only because I feel like that would have been like, for example, if and there's going to be spoilers in this, by the way, guys, but it's like, for example, if it would have shown her coming out of the water and then we would have seen like the cousin that's there, and then like she would have attacked the cousin, or it would have panned back over to the boyfriend's torn torso, and
Mhm.
it would have just had the blood oozing out of the torso, and then the camera just zooms in on that, or moves in on that, and then
Yeah.
through the curdling blood the Evil Dead rise comes out.
Mhm.
That to me would have been far more chilling and
Okay.
telling of what they were trying to do, especially with the last act of the movie, which is fucking glorious. And or glorious, I should say. Ha ha ha. Dad humor coming out.
Did
But
it.
yeah, it's just like there is that whole element of it. Anyway, the opening is the opening, largely inconsequential to the rest of the film. It's just meant to establish
Sure.
some shit's gone down.
And I will say the general criticism that I hear of like, oh, this felt like an HBO Max, which I do agree with. It does feel that way. I think I really felt that, especially in that opening. Luckily, it had some little clever takes on the Evil Dead formula. Can we do spoilers, man?
Yeah, yeah. I said spoilers. Yeah, I said
Oh,
spoilers.
sorry. Okay. Yeah, the drone,
The
switch.
drone,
That's
I knew
a
it was a
nice little
drone.
touch. That's
I
a
knew it
nice
was a
touch.
drone though. I'm
I
like,
did too, and I was
it's
like,
too
"Oh man, this is
jittery.
looking bad." I was like, "Oh
Well,
man, this is looking bad." And then
like
they did
who
the
is the
drone.
cinematographer that came up with that? It was I forget his name,
Well,
but
the cinematographer for Evil,
for Evil
this
Dead
one.
1, Evil Dead 1, it was a
Oh, I don't
Joseph
know.
something or another.
I'm not sure.
And he went on to go direct episodes of like Jack of all trades. I think he directed like Xena and like Hercules and stuff.
Based.
So he's been around. I forget his name, but he was the one who came up with that concept, right? And so it's like I'm watching the opening of the movie. You're right. Like it's you see the lake and it's moving around, and I'm watching it, and I'm all like, either it's meant to be a drone, or they definitely used a drone to film this. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but if I'm kind of glad it was a drone, because like
Yeah.
it was stuttery, it was jittery.
The that you see it in a lot of movies now, that little pan, that fast
Yeah.
pan that happens in all, like, I think I saw it in Gray Man and Ambulance. If you want to see every drone shot ever made in one movie, watch Ambulance. Jesus Christ, that
If
thing is
you ever
doing
want to
everything.
see every Michael Bay like shot, that like his shots, watch the first Transformers.
Yeah, that's
Literally,
true.
even there's a scene from The Rock
Mhm.
at the end of that movie. So when in The Rock, when Nick Cage smashes the flares against the wall,
Oh
right, the
yeah.
pillar, go back
Yeah.
and yeah, it's the same shit. It's like literally he ripped off every one of his own signature shots, and I don't blame him. If it works, why not use it again?
You're
Uh,
right. Transformers is the apex Michael Bay movie
it
when you
really
think
is. It
about it.
really is.
You're
Yeah, I
right.
think he
You just
learned a
watch that
lot.
movie and get him. You
Yeah,
got it.
it's
Yeah.
it's I no, I love the original Transformers. I
Also,
do.
I
It's
love them all.
it's like, but again, coming off The Island and then going into Transformers. The Island is arguably Bay's best big budget movie. Like best big budget. I think
Sure.
Pain and Gain is really solid.
Mhm.
And I just like those. Anyway, we could talk about Michael Bay for hours.
Yeah, we'll do that in another
But
podcast.
we can dive back into this one here. So one
Yeah.
of the things that Cronin had wanted to do with this movie is to have a fresh take on it, right? So he wanted to focus on it not being a cabin and have it be more of a heartfelt story about a family. Whereas instead of it being just kind of like, uh, college kids going off to party for the weekend, right? Sex, drugs, rock and roll, all that kind of shit. Here, it was like, the mother, the sister, the children, and having that very family centric perspective. And I feel like that was a really tight element. I really
Mm,
enjoyed, like, the sister, Beth, I think her name is.
yeah.
And then, like her story was interesting about like her not, her living this kind of carefree lifestyle, but now realizing she's going to have to be a protector and
Mhm.
going to have to be, a nurturer and things like that. Something that's so, against her own life, perspective. And then of course the sister having the fallout with the husband, and then the dad leaving, and then them having to be evicted out of this old building, and so on and so forth. And that I thought was a really interesting little kind of like setup to treat it like a very kind of smaller movie. And I think if they were trying to do the HBO Max side of things here, that would have been the perfect pitch for that, because I don't know, have you seen The Whale yet?
No, I haven't. I heard
The
it's
way
fantastic
Like
though.
The Whale is really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
I saw it before the Oscars, and I really enjoyed it. And
Mhm.
the thing is though, the whole movie is shot in one place. It's shot in just an apartment. And it's a $3 million budgeted movie. And they literally just built this apartment set, and that's what they shot on. And again, it's like it's based on a play.
Mhm.
So taking that, basing it on the play, and then like trying to really isolate the experience into just the final days of this guy's life is really fascinating. And here I was kind of like looking at it from a very similar perspective. It's like you've got your you've got your main unit, the main apartment, and the hallway, and that is your location. Like that is the stage for your play.
Yeah.
And like what can come out of that. And so when I was watching the movie last night, I was really enjoying just kind of see how they shot stuff. Like especially like the use of shadows, I thought was really good.
Mhm. Yeah.
You said the DP, you worked with the DP.
Yeah, he did my episode, Dave Barrett. Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah.
I
He's
really feel the cinematography for the movie was tight.
yeah, he's awesome.
A lot of good stuff there. Should get that guy some really good work,
Yeah, he
especially.
did he did, you've seen his stuff before. He did the first episode of the first season of Ash too.
Oh, okay, okay, definitely a little bit different, but he's been around the Evil Dead formula
Yes,
long enough.
exactly, he gets it,
He
exactly.
gets it, and there is like one specific Raimiism shot that I saw at the end of the movie
Mhm.
that like, and I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about. Or we'll get to that later on, but it's like I started noticing that like towards the latter half of the movie, or like in the climax of the film, it started getting more in tune with like Raimi's Evil Dead.
Mm,
And
yeah.
some of the callbacks, some of the nods here and there, because originally it was kind of its own thing leading up to like the end of the movie, which so the like the weird vibe I come off to with that is like think of 10 Cloverfield Lane. Dan Trachtenberg shot the movie under the working title of Valencia. And then after that, J.J. Abrams caught wind of it. And then like, hey, let's make this a Cloverfield anthology film. Let's shoot a couple inserts that we can have to tie into the grander mythos of Cloverfield. And then we're going to reshoot the ending to have it be its own little narrative. But that's it. So they restructured part of the movie in order to make it fit in Cloverfield. Same thing with Cloverfield Paradox. Did you ever watch that one on Netflix?
No. I love the idea that they just dumped it in the Super Bowl, that they just had
Oh, it was
the
great.
commercial. That was great marketing.
Oh
I
yeah.
want more of that. That was like a
Oh,
video that was some video game ass marketing when they
dude,
did
I was
that.
at Costco when that dropped, and like my kid had just been born a few weeks earlier.
Mhm.
My eldest daughter, and like we're at Costco, and all of a sudden my phone starts blowing up. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I don't watch football, so I don't care. And I catch all the trailers and commercials after the fact. But it was just like all of a sudden I get all these messages, and I have to just bring up Twitter, and I watch the commercial, and I was like, it's dropping tonight, and
That's
I'm
so
all like,
crazy.
because I'm a big Cloverfield fan. I'm a
Yeah, so
huge Cloverfield
I
fan.
like the first one. I never saw 10. I never saw 10,
Dude,
Takes
10
Privilege.
is legit.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to tell you how. Did you see Prey?
Yes, I did.
Did you like Prey?
I liked it a lot.
Then you will fucking love 10 Cloverfield Lane.
All right, I'll
Here's the
check it
biggest. I know
out.
we're off topic. We're talking about Evil Dead, but I'm gonna go off this. John Goodman was so ripped off as getting a Best Supporting Actor nod for that role. He was so robbed for that, dude.
Yeah,
Like John Goodman, oh my God.
yeah, I heard he was great.
Dude, so good. And dude, I love 10 Cloverfield Lane. I love all those movies, even Paradox, which I do. So funny.
You like Paradox? Really? You're the
I
first
did.
person that
I did like Paradox, dude. It gave
Oh.
me Clovey. It gave me Clovey. Okay, I got to see the monster again. All right,
Okay.
like look, the general story was interesting because it was under the name The God Particle originally, right? But anyway, it's like Paramount sent me a copy of the DVD or the Blu-ray to review,
Mm-hmm.
like a while, like right before it came out, and so I watched it. And this is so funny. The special features of that movie literally have it to where like they interview the cast because it's got a decent cast, right?
Sure.
In Paradox, you know, and so but none of them knew it was going to be turned into a Cloverfield movie. So it's this behind the scenes interview with them, and they're like, oh, it's going to be a great science fiction movie, yada yada yada. Not one mention of Cloverfield because it was all done after the fact. And I love that about that too. It's such a weird thing that they did. And Paramount ultimately walked away, I think, the victor on that particular deal, and Netflix was happy with that. But I agree with you; they should do more of that. Which is why I think also this movie is fascinating because this movie is the reverse Cloverfield Paradox.
Mm.
You know, this movie was originally meant to be on HBO Max, and then ended up getting bumped up to a theatrical release
Because it was that good.
Oh, it was that good, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where they here's funny. One of the things I actually kind of read about this here is you know they use 6,500 liters of blood in the movie. 6,500 liters. Yeah, it really does track. It really does track.
And then if you're like one of those persons that's trying to like keep track of that, it's like, and you're just like, dude, they're off by like several liters. There's gonna be one scene there, like, oh, okay, there it is. Okay, they got it.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, the movie, I will say that the movie
That elevator scene. Yeah.
I was like, okay, now we're going into some Kubrick shit.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I thought that worked out pretty damn well. So the movie itself, I think, you know, has such an interesting approach to how they did it. And I was really wondering how they were going to get the Necronomicon into the story. And I thought the way that they set it up was actually really good.
The earthquake?
The earthquake, but the fact that the old building was an old bank and that they just built apartments on top of the old bank, because that's a very Los Angelian thing to do.
Okay. You just brushed over the earthquake, though. Let's talk about the earthquake.
Well, I was setting up why the earthquake was important.
Okay. What do you think of a random earthquake setting everything up?
Have you ever, you don't live in LA?
No.
Oh, dude, that's not even a thing. Like that kind of, that's the thing. Like that, I was like, oh, okay. Right. So let me explain. So when I moved to LA back in 2010, you know, I was one of my very first nights in my apartment. I was bottom floor of a 3-story building, and I'm laying in bed, and all of a sudden the whole apartment just starts to move, and it's not an earthquake. It just starts to move. And I'm like, oh my God, 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 it's an earthquake. Holy shit, we're going to fucking die. And then it's just like, I find out, no, that happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like LA just rocks, like literally all the time. And so having a random earthquake in Los Angeles is not really uncommon. Like, because even that months after I moved to LA, there was like a 6.5 earthquake that hit in Mexico, and it rippled all the way up to my parents' house in San Diego. You know, and so it's like Southern California earthquakes are rare, but they're not infrequent.
Yeah.
Right. Or they never happen. And so it's kind of like, okay, it could be a random thing that happens in LA. And this is an old ass building that was built upon an old bank from the 30s,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so it ended up being just this, like, yeah, that's an LA thing to do.
Okay. I saw it as a shout out to like I was trying to even think back to have you seen the Dario Argento produced movies, the Demons 1 and Demons 2?
I have not, but you're not the only one to reference Demons today. I saw Richard Newby from the Hollywood Reporter reference Demons 2 on Twitter, and I don't really know what he was referring to.
Yeah, that one takes place in an apartment complex.
Oh.
But I'm trying to remember. I gotta look. I have the Blu-ray somewhere. I gotta look at it. If remember if there was an earthquake in that, or if that was in the church where the earth. In a lot of the Italian uh, horror films in the 80s, there was a lot of like random events that would happen, like earthquakes and stuff, to unleash the demons and stuff. So I was thinking that it was a shout out to that, because even Demons 2 had that had that that setup of the demons attacking an apartment complex. And then there was actually another movie that came out like I think last year, Satan Slaves 2 Communion, also about that had a brilliant setup of how demons are unleashed in an apartment complex. So yeah, I saw it as a shout out, honestly. So that's I kind of like brushed it like at first I was like, oh, this is random or whatever, but then I was like, okay, I could see why it's a kind of a shout out back to the day when this stuff would happen.
That, that actually does make a fair amount of sense. Here's the thing: it's probably both.
Yeah.
It's probably both.
It's
Like
like
you
we could
need,
do a shout out because it's LA.
yeah, it is LA. It's like, all right, it's LA. You know what? Like releasing the Necronomicon in LA. That's interesting. What I really enjoyed though is like how they set up. So instead of going into the basement and finding the old researchers' notes in the recording, here he goes into the basement and it's like it's broken into this old vault.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and it's
yeah, that was a good angle. Yeah, for
that was a
sure.
really unique angle. I really enjoyed that. And then I just like the fact that he's also like, all right, yeah, let me look through. Oh, here's these old records, and like he's a DJ, so that just makes sense
Yes.
of
Well,
having that.
if we could go back to like the family angle and
Yeah,
why I say like this was a good movie when you think about it, and the it was like it's both a positive and a negative that it was. I thought it was fast paced. It felt very fast paced because one of the things that I really loved was that the family was this alternative family, right? Like these girls like grew up on rock and roll and probably of that type of lifestyle, and and having these kids, they still sort of have their sort of lives in it, but not really. And that way you could see how it would transfer over to their children. So you could see it's not just like, oh, I'm a DJ kid or whatever because I need the plot to it be so. It's because you could see how this kid would get into music because of his mom and all that. Like I thought it was just like really well written in that angle.
yeah. His mom struck me as like an old like rockabilly type,
Rockabilly,
and
yeah.
you don't see much of that anymore. Then of course with the aunt being a guitar tech,
Hmm.
for an unnamed band that's touring and everything else, and like her
Yeah,
desire to become the chief tech because she'd be the first woman in her crew to do it.
yeah,
I mean, that was a little throwaway line, but I think it added to, it especially added to that part later on. Oh, there's no power. How do we run it? She's like, oh, I can fix that. Like just that, I was like, oh yeah, she can because she's a tech. She knows
yeah,
how to work all this shit.
yeah,
So it's not like and I was because you know how it is nowadays. You have to add something like that in these movies in
yeah.
order to make sure that some people don't call it woke or whatever. And but I know I thought, okay, that's her character. That's her character's knowledge coming into play. That works out pretty well.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good. I also really enjoyed the way that they set up the recording, having it be on the oh, what is it? Having it be on the records, and then getting just like the story of like, oh, I found this. We want to get the church's permission to transcribe it.
Yeah, that was great.
And then it's like, maybe not play with this kind of stuff. But then, of course, him reciting it again and the way they shot it and the way that they did, like the speakers were kind of, thumping and like showing that some evil, crazy shit was happening. I
Yeah.
really like that. And did you catch the Bruce Campbell cameo?
I did not. I've read that there is one, and I was like,
He
"Man, I
is.
missed it. Where is
I
it?
caught it in the movie. He was
What
the
is it?"
one who was warning the priest.
Oh, okay. So when the priests were like yelling stuff,
He was one of the ones yelling at him, yeah, or like when
that's
they
great.
were something, yeah, you could hear him very briefly.
Oh, that's awesome.
I caught that in there. I'm watching it. I'm just like, it strikes me as wait. I'm like, is that Bruce Campbell? Is
That
he
Papa
doing his like?
Pizza?
Yeah, his Papa Pizza, yeah, or Pizza Papa, right?
Pizza
Whatever
Papa.
it is.
Sorry, yeah. I always do that too. I always get that.
No, it's great. It's like there was the Pizza Papa stuff was really not Pizza Papa. It's a totally different movie. But no, you hear the Bruce Campbell cameo real quick,
Hmm.
and that caught my attention. And then of course like you get the introduction before then to the neighbors, obviously, and I'm like, oh, they're all gonna die. They're cannon fodder. But it was I do want to point out that the use of the neighbors was done very well.
Yes, they went with the rear window angle through the peephole, which I really dug,
That
for
scene
sure.
was legit because the fact that
Yeah.
they like you see that little kid running,
Yeah.
right? That little like 12-year-old kid running, and then he just gets like thrown against the wall and he's missing his arms.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
I think that was dude, and this is my horror film nerd. I think that might have been a shout out to a movie called The Forbidden Door from I'm not sure where. I think it's Malaysian or it's from Thailand. There's a shot sort of like that involves a kid too. I think it's a shout out, and I wouldn't be surprised that Lee Cronin is a big fan of the genre.
Yeah, based upon what I was watching,
Yeah.
at one point in time during the movie, I thought to myself, I'm like, this is a really good American remake of Wreck.
Yeah. True.
Because it
Yeah.
kind of is.
Yeah.
It
That part.
kind of is.
And I was thinking that too. I didn't want to bring it up, but when you were saying the priest part, I was like, I think that might have been a shout out to Wreck, right?
Now,
Like,
because Wreck is like, if I had to put it like in my top tier of horror films,
mhm.
Wreck is up there.
Yeah.
Like when I first saw Wreck, I didn't know what it was. I'm a
Mhm.
big found footage. I'm a big found footage guy. That's my genre.
Yeah.
That's my jam.
Based.
And I mean, you've seen my movie. Like that's the kind of movies I want to make.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this thing, and so I ended up like seeing it randomly, back in '07, I think. And I ended up watching it and I'm like, all right. And like the lights were on. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I'm getting into it and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad the lights are on. By the end of that movie, I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I was so in that movie. And like, I've seen Quarantine, I've seen the American remake, and it's just like,
Yeah.
no, this movie is more in tune with that. And I respect it for that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Of just having the priests and having like the dead and the zombie aspect. And of course, like, the way it was shot in many ways kind of makes it feel very isolating. It's sure it's not handheld, but it's like, it still feels like they're alone,
Yeah.
because they're on a floor that's largely vacated in a building that's largely vacated.
Yeah. You felt them up there too, which
Yeah.
is
They
yeah.
did a really good job with that. And so
Yeah.
I really appreciated it. What did you think of the mom, of her portrayal as the Deadite? Because she's not really an actress. She's like a
Man,
model.
honestly, I'm gonna have to give it a rewatch, but I think it's my favorite demon portrayal in general. Like there was like a stillness added that I loved. That sometimes she would just be still and just be staring, and I was like, yes. And just I just loved the performance. I'm gonna rewatch it, because there's a lot of great demon performance, a lot of possession performances, that are amazing. But she really like stole the show for me, especially when she was in that demon form, or Deadite.
Yeah. I mean, well, I agree. I agree. I really enjoyed how her performance really came through just in the stillness of it, and then also very much the delivery
Yeah.
and the sound design. And now I do want to quickly say, I think one of the things that I feel this movie is going to be overlooked for is the sound design. Because
Mhm.
even though it was very much shot for HBO Max and very much designed with HBO Max in mind,
Yeah.
they did not fuck around when it came to the sound design.
Yeah.
There is some sound mixing that legitimately was good. Like when I
Yeah.
say that, I mean like it's not just like, they actually played with the where the placement was coming from. We actually got like I'm watching. I don't know if you saw this on your end, but I know on my end, like at one point I hear to my right, I hear
Mhm.
movement on the right, and it starts coming closer to the screen.
That's so cool.
And I'm just sitting there going like, and I'm sitting there watching the movie, and I saw it by myself. Right, the theater was packed, but like I saw it by myself, and I'm
Mhm.
just sitting there going like, oh, you bastards. Oh, like I love it. I love it. Cause I'm like, for one, you're enhancing the experience
Yeah.
of the movie going experience, which is like, for one, this is what this movie needed to do. It really needed to kind of up its game considering its origins. And it needed to play it up, and it did a good job. So like, this is one where even the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, right? They actually responded to a tweet of Alyssa Sutherland in makeup, and they just
Oh, yeah?
responded back with "mother," right, in like a smiley emoji
Oh
or
my
whatever.
god.
And it's all like, don't give me hope. Don't give me hope that the Academy is actually paying attention, that the Academy is
I
actually
mean,
going to
we've
care
been
about stunt work.
complaining. We've been complaining, Jarbo. They better be paying attention. We've been saying Mia Goth, Best Actress, Toni Collette, Best Actress. Where are they?
Yeah.
Where are their nominations?
Oh, I know. Mia Goth
Where's
was
hers?
hosed completely hosed for Pearl and X from last year.
So they're hearing us, bro. That's what it
I
is.
hope so. Stunt horror, man, come on. It's
Stunts and horror. Yeah, stunts. I agree. 100.
like
100%.
and horrors was like me. Yeah, you're right. Mia Goth. I came late to the party on X,
Mhm.
and I watched it right around Halloween last year, and it was in my top 5 of the year. But I felt Pearl was largely unnecessary. As weird as that is, like I watched them kind of back to back, you know, and so maybe that was the issue. But I love the hell out of X. I thought Pearl was definitely really good, but largely not needed so fast to the release of X. I don't know. But again, I'm going to rewatch them all when Maxine comes out because I'm so beyond hyped for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, yeah, this movie's done a lot with sound. It's done a lot with its production design. Its set design was really good. It created the fear of isolation. Like the scene when she comes into the apartment, Ellie comes into the apartment after she's been turned. And it's just the silhouette. And like the kids are kind of arguing amongst themselves a little bit. And they're like, oh, hey, mom. And then she just walks into the kitchen. And then, you know, that whole scene was really great there. What I also enjoyed was when the neighbors tried to come on in to help out. And it's like she's in the darkness. And then she just kind of comes out and all you see is the outline of the white shirt. And then that's just what's there. And you're like, it's unnerving is what it is. It's just like, it's almost like when, you know, you see somebody in the distance at night and you're by yourself and they're coming towards you and you just see the silhouette. Like you don't know what's there.
Yeah.
It's that whatever's in the darkness is there. But in this case, you don't know. And so that was what I really liked about it was just like the way that they established, like before it got into the gory stuff, it established tension really well, you know, and of course it even set up elements for like what was to play out later on. Cause there's always going to be those setups, right? It's like when they're trying to get the door open to number 82. And the one guy's like, hey, I can go get my shotgun. And then the guy's like, do we really need guns out right now? You know, because it's going to frighten people. We don't want that. And then it's like, okay, great. But then that scene where like she's killing him, like and the kids. And then here comes the, you know, all of a sudden, like she just gets blasted out of frame and he comes in with the shotgun. Dude, my audience erupted in laughter. Like, because like it was one of those things where it's like it came out of left field to just hit you.
Yeah.
I think it was like a nervous laughter, but people really got a kick out of that scene.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a throwback to Ash or whatever, because by this point in time, like you're not really vibing on it like that. I don't think.
No, I don't think so either.
You're not really vibing on it like it's like, you know, it's connected, but it's not like the same way. Like with Ash, a lot of it was facial expressions, a lot of it was like the over the top you know, Three Stooges approach to it, especially Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Which, you know, again, like I love the reference to Evil Dead 2.
Which one was that?
That was when she's trying to escape the room and she ends up blowing off Ellie's arm and leg. And all the other Deadites wake up. And what do you remember what they start yelling?
Oh yeah, Dead by Dawn. Oh my
Dead
god,
by Dawn, Dead by Dawn, Dead by Dawn. And I was like, oh, dude, fuck yeah, the Evil Dead 2.
Yes.
Right? I caught that. I thought that was a solid reference.
Yeah.
That was it was creepy as hell. And again, the sound design sells these scenes really well.
Yeah.
You know, and like I don't even want to overlook the whole thing with the one girl, the one daughter, what's her name? The Bridget.
The youngest one?
No, not the youngest one. That was Cassie. Bridget is the middle child. The one with the one who gets the tattoo on the face.
Yep.
So like when she starts to turn, that scene was wicked. Because just like the blood out the nose and then out the eyes and out the mouth, and it's like but it's like dark, thick sludge.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, oh man, and then she's like confused and doesn't know, and then the next time we see her, she's up on the fucking counter and she's eating glass. You know. Yeah. I've got to kill the what was it? The crummies in my tummy.
Yeah, that was the part that made me cringe the most. I think when
like cringe in a good way or cringe in a bad way.
No, I mean cringe like horrified, like oh shit, like I guess you could get a mental pain where it's like,
oh yeah, because I thought she was referring to the pregnancy thing on Beth. You know, because you could tell like she kind of knew, she could kind of tell, right? Yeah. Or well, we the audience knew, but Beth hadn't confirmed it yet. And so it's kind of like, okay, it's like the hints are there, like they're kind of dropping this breadcrumbs. But then it's like when she chews the glass and you see it just start to poke out the skin,
Yeah, it
but
starts to
then go
protrude
down. It's
out
like
the neck. That was dope as
that
hell.
to
I love
me,
it.
and I could be wrong, but that to me really heavily felt like a Return of the Evil Dead Part 3 reference.
Mhm.
Do you remember that one where like, she has to like cut herself, commit pain in order to keep herself from turning? So she
Return of
starts
the
like
Evil Dead?
Return of the Evil Dead Part 3.
What is that? A video game?
No, it's a movie.
Return of the Evil Dead.
Not sorry, Return of the Living Dead. Return of the Living Dead. My
Oh,
bad.
okay,
My bad.
okay.
My bad. My bad. Sorry, Evil Dead, Living Dead, Night. It's all kind
Yeah,
of
they're
comes
all
together.
dead. They're all
They're all
dead. They're all
Army of the
messed up.
Dead. It's all coming together. Yeah.
They're all dead. They're all messed up.
But no, in this case, she's like, like the vibe I got was Return of the Living Dead Part 3.
Part 3. Okay. So the zombie goth thing with the glass coming out of her face
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw like a long, like well back in the 90s when it came out.
Yeah.
Um
100% sold on the image of that one zombie girl. That's it. That whole thing. That whole
yeah, I was that like I want to say that was like Miranda Lambert who played her or whatever.
Yeah, I think she was the lady from Spawn. She was in Spawn too.
Yeah. And as was it Jessica Snow or something or she was also was like the mom in the OC.
Oh, I didn't know.
And there was even a show on UPN back like in the 90s. It was called like Merc Ops or something like that, where she was on the show. It was like a mercenary show that was on TV back in the day. Dude, I thought she was so attractive. I had such a thing for her. Anyway, moving on. But I thought the stuff was like,
I think the point is like there were so many different types of references, right?
it felt like it. Yeah, it felt like it, but it wasn't like
Everywhere.
over the top cheesy, in my opinion, right?
Well, it didn't distract from what was going on.
Yeah,
Because
I think
it flowed with the movie. You know, it all made sense. It all
did.
went there. It
Made a really good impact on the film, I think. And then one of the other things I enjoyed too was just how like they used what was in the apartment as like weaponry or as defense tactics or whatever. Because like at one point, like the cheese grater scene was really wicked. But I wish they wouldn't have ruined that in the trailer. I just wish they wouldn't have shown that in the trailer because I was expecting the cheese grater scene.
Yeah, I expected a little more grating, like a little, like I thought they were going to go a little harder.
They couldn't injure Beth too much though. That was really kind of the thing. It's like stabbing her through the hand like that with the broken mirror.
Yeah.
And like that was crazy. Never mind also the shot of when Ellie is coming out of the bathroom and she's holding the shattered piece and you can see the reflection of Cassie through it. Like again, cinematography was really solid. There's some great shots in the film. My favorite have yet to come in the conversation. But like, obviously because I don't want to like, we're kind of going through the thing kind of point for point, but it's like, at this point, like Beth kind of realizes like, they got to get out of there. You've got Beth or, Bridget's gone. Who was the other one? The Danny is, been stabbed. That scene was fucked up right through the bicep.
Yeah.
Oh man, that like, and then just Danny trying to burn Bridget and just ends up getting turned. And my favorite though was that whole like, they go back in the room and Bridget's body is gone and you think, oh shit, like she's up again, right? And then Danny's like, I felt like I should have tied her up. Right? And then just that shot of them when Bridget comes back out and you just see the head like under the sheet.
Yeah.
Poke out. And the vibe I got from that was like Michael Myers in Halloween with the sheet when, and I mean, and then her floating and going after Danny and everything else and like finishing the job there was just like, it was just a good shot. It was a good scene, cause it was like, it was minimal it didn't need to focus on a lot of the gore. It had some good wire work and then it had some good, like, it was like, what's underneath that. We don't need to see it, but it's just, here's this bloody sheet coming at you with a knife in its gullet. And it pulls a knife out and it stabs you again. It's just, oh, dude, holy shit.
Yeah, that was great. And they went all the way. They killed some kids.
They killed some kids. I always respect that. People always like to talk shit about AVP Requiem. Dude, they fucking murder a ton of kids in that movie. All right.
A ton of pregnant women.
Ton of pregnant women. I know, that's my favorite scene in the movie when he
Yeah,
goes.
that's the best scene. Yeah, I
goes
agree
into the
with you.
maternity ward.
It's the best scene. It's the best scene. I was
I
like,
don't know.
damn, they went there.
They went there, and you know what? You have to have respect for that, right? It's like, say
Yeah.
what you will about Uwe Boll. Say what you will about Uwe Boll.
The man loves to kill kids.
The man loves to kill kids. Watch Postal. There's a scene where a gun goes off at an Oktoberfest, and literally the only people who die in the hail of gunfire are children. And
Oh my God.
like, Postal is such
my
a good
God.
movie.
That's good satire too, man. Believe it or not. Leave it to me. I'm dumb, so don't take my opinion too seriously.
No, it's such a again, it's like horror if it goes there. You have to
Yeah.
appreciate it when they don't. Like, this is my thing with like PG-13 horror. You know, like how much it toes the line. Like, I know a lot of people like to say that Drag Me to Hell feels like an Evil Dead-esque kind of movie, and it really was. I mean, it really was.
Sure. I could hear arguments for it's in the same universe, technically, sure.
Well, because the car.
Yeah.
The car makes an appearance. The car didn't make an appearance here, although a Buick did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I thought that was a nice little subtle reference too. Because I think, Ash drove a Buick, right? The yellow Buick.
Yeah, was that in this? Yeah, you're right. I don't think it probably was somewhere.
No.
Somewhere.
No. The car wasn't, but a Buick was.
What?
The car, the station wagon at the end when she tries to get out.
You think that counts?
I don't.
I don't think that counts, bro.
I don't know. I'm just gonna look this up here. You know, like I just want to make sure I got it right.
Where was the yellow Buick?
Yeah, what was the Ash's car? Oh, sorry. It was a 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88 Royale.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it is.
Is what Ash's car is?
Is what Ash's car was. Okay, so it's not an Oldsmobile. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. They focused on the Buick in a shot when they show like the wheel turning and like the focus on like the Buick. I don't know if that was like a cameo thing where they got paid to have that branding in the movie, or if it was a subtle nod. I have no idea.
Maybe.
You know, I don't know. I don't think like what was it? Some of the T-shirts that the kids were wearing had bands on them. The mom had bands on them. You know, obviously you're right talking about the rock stuff from before, but anyway, I thought that was a reference. I guess I was wrong.
I mean, it might have been. I don't know. There was so many references. There were references upon references, and they weren't distracting at all. That's like kind of like surprising. I guess it's what the Trekkies are feeling with Picard.
Here we go. In 1984, with the reorganization of GM, Oldsmobile became a series and marketing division in the Buick Oldsmobile Cadillac Group.
Go. Okay.
There we go. So it is a Buick Oldsmobile.
Okay.
Okay. So I was right.
I was right.
right.
Buick too. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I don't know.
It's a Buick. It's a Buick. Okay. I was like, because I was looking for the car. Like they go to the car garage. You know, I'm looking for the car.
It's there. Maybe it's in a CGI shot in one of those window ones. So like when
maybe.
Outside,
but I think the Buick reference to the station wagon. I think that's what it is.
You think so? I don't think they would do that. You got to use the actual car.
You got to use the actual. But also remember, they want to diverge themselves.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm thinking that's not a reference, because either you use the car or you don't. No reference.
I should tweet at Lee Cronin and ask him if the Buick shot was a reference to that, because you know what, fans want to know. Yeah. You, me, and like the 20 people that are going to hear this, they want to know. They want to know.
Where was that Buick?
Yeah, what's going on with that?
I mean, that wasn't the Buick. Where was the Buick?
Exactly. How can you have it was even in the 2013 movie, I think. So
it got a pay bump after it appeared in Spider-Man. You know.
Well, you know what, and then again,
it won't do dirty independent horror films anymore.
Yeah, well, it was all. I believe it was also in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh yeah, it's a Marvel.
It's a Marvel movie. I was getting that Marvel money. Yeah, I can't do these low budget HBO Max.
Yeah, Marvel owns that Buick now.
Yeah, fuck you, man. Give me that Disney Plus cash.
Not only Marvel, but Marvel and Sony.
Well, no. I mean, Marvel doesn't, or Sony had nothing to do with all that.
I'm just overcomplicating it, just because. Fuck it.
Let's talk about the last act of the movie, because this is where I feel shit got real in the film. You know, and so it's like they escape the apartment. She's got the shotgun now. We're getting into Ash Williams territory. You know, they get into the elevator. We get that excellent scene with the blood. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
All the Deadites waking up, you know, and then of course after like she shot off the arm and the leg of Ellie, they start combining into a monster. And that to me was something that, like, again, if you going back to the Necronomicon showed the different progression of what would happen with the Deadite, which makes me wonder is if the Deadite gets out and it starts combining with other people, like a kind of like a Katamari Damacy kind of thing, you know, where it just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and ultimately devours the world.
Yeah.
Because what else I mean, at one point there's got to be an end game for all of this. You want hell on earth, you know, consume the corpses of your enemies, sort of thing. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. The blood was excellent. Yeah. And then of course they get down into the parking garage, and you know, I just love how like the car gets stuck, and then like, you know, they're just trying to get out what do you want to call it? The Deadite creature at that point. What would you know, how would you refer to that?
I would call it the family, because
okay.
I think it kind of went with the theme that they were trying to go with, right? Like it kind of makes sense. Is that if there's like a family element undercurrent going on throughout the whole thing, and that's why I really want to rewatch, because I think because the movie moves so fast paced, and I also think genuinely it was just a well written movie. I think there's a lot of stuff undercurrents going on there, and that like could be summarized with literally a creature that is sucking up family members, right? And it's going after you. You're the next one, right? So yeah, I thought it was great in that aspect. I'm actually like debating within myself, do I like this more than the final creature in the first remake? I think thematically this one works a lot better. I just
thematically this is freakier because we haven't seen this before.
You're right. Yeah, creepier. Yeah. Freakier, creepier. Yeah.
And as I told you beforehand, it reminds me of that Neil Blomkamp short on Oat Studio. You said Zygote.
Zygote, yeah, right. That's what it's called, right? I think.
Yeah, so. I think so. It sounds right. I didn't go back and double check, but that one was like, wasn't that like Dakota Fanning and Damian Bashir was in that one? I know Dakota Fanning was in it.
I know it's Dakota. I don't know who the.
Yeah, I could be wrong on the other person, but it was good. It was a really solid, really freaky body horror short film.
Amazing effect and amazing creature design for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, Neil Blomkamp, what are you doing making a fucking Gran Turismo movie? Your talents are wasted, you bastard.
He's doing a Gran Turismo movie?
I'll explain it to you later. Yes. Oh, and it's not what you think. It's not what you think. But I'll explain it to you later. And so obviously this family unit thing, freaky as shit. What I like is that the way they shot around it. Instead of like wasting all their budget, showing it to you all, they really teased it. You know, shadowy, you know, thing here, and then when it grabs Cassie and like throws her in the truck, and then you see that it's a tree trimming truck, and you see the what's it called, the chainsaw on the side.
I think that was hinted at earlier too. In an earlier
it might have been when they were in. I gotta watch the scene again when they're in the parking garage earlier, but yeah, it could have been hinted.
Yeah.
And then I like how like they were gonna, you know, she was gonna decapitate her own daughter, really. And like, but that blade got real close to her neck.
Yeah.
You know, and like, that was pretty brutal. And then of course, just like she shoots her, Beth comes up, shoots her. And then of course says the line, you know, just randomly just says, "Come get some." And I'm like, all right,
whatever.
That works. It works for me. It works for me. But then what I also really enjoyed was like right after that was the wood chipper scene. And I'm like, all right, if you're going to go full Fargo, go full Fargo. And you know, and so
indoors, like, that was the take. That's how it's different. It's indoors.
It's indoors. Yeah. And then of course, you know, from that, like they've got, you know, like the family's kind of trying to drag Beth into it. You know, I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
Cassie gets over her fear, helps her out. But I think it was right when they kind of turned the tables on that. She gets the chainsaws where we get the one Raimi shot in the movie, which is like, I think it's as Cassie turns on the wood chipper to show that they've now got control. The camera does that fast zoom in.
Yeah.
That Raimi likes to do. Yeah. And like a kind of like Dutch angle tilt zoom in. And real quick, but that one shot real quick, oh dude, I parked in the theater. I'm like, ooh, ooh, baby, yeah, give it to me. Because like it's like there's the Raimiism I was waiting for. That's it. We had the shotgun, we have the
He was there
chainsaw.
that day on set, and so
You
the
know what?
director
Maybe he was.
remembered.
Maybe he was there that day. He's like, maybe try it like this, and you're like, all right, cool, dog.
Or the
Yeah,
director wanted to impress him. Is like, hey, look, I didn't look. This is how we're shooting the
yeah,
whole thing. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah. We're gonna Kenneth Branagh this shit, man. Fucking Thor up in this motherfucker. But but I really like. But again, like at that point, it kind of went full Evil Dead. You had the shotgun, you had the cheesy dialogue, you had the chainsaw, you have that quick zoom. Now you're in it, and you've got buckets and buckets and buckets of blood. And I just really enjoyed how like it looked when they're putting each of the family members in like into the wood chipper, and like there's Danny, and Danny just gets like sucked in, and then just like the last little bit with Beth and the chainsaw into Alyssa's head or Ellie's head, and then just like cuts it off, and it just like kicks it in because she's trying to talk more shit. It's just like it was great.
It was amazing.
It was beautiful. It was bloody. It was gory.
It was worth the theater experience.
It was. And then we get to the ending of the movie, which I thought was stupid. Right? Because it had to then tie into the first one, which I get, to the opening of the movie, which I understand. I just still think that was like the weakest elements of the whole film.
Wait, tie into the first remake?
Sorry, no, tie into the opening of the film, right? Because you had the one girl who the cousin, whatever, right? From the beginning of the movie who was sick. But she's like, okay, I'm going to go pick you up. I'm going to come get you in 15 minutes. So she gets infected with the deadite, gets in the car, drives to go pick up the cousin, drives out to the lake, and then does all that. Like there's just inconsistencies with what we saw. I don't think the deadite like read a driver's manual and learned how to operate a vehicle in Los Angeles traffic to get out to everything.
They're not that good.
Yeah. All right. Evil Army of Darkness reference.
Yeah.
The what was it? The screwball cut, right?
The screwball cut. Oh, in the nose with the is that what it's called?
No. It's like because there's I think it's the extended edition of Army of Darkness has the like I ain't that good or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. No. I ain't that good. No. Yeah. No. Like good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun. That's the best line.
Yeah.
Then they had the extended edition where it's like you're good Ash, I'm bad Ash. And I ain't that good.
I ain't that good.
Yeah. I didn't care for that one, to be honest with you. I thought that was a stupid take. Like don't cut out one of the best lines of the fucking franchise. Anyway, I just look as a whole package, because I do have to wrap this thing up. As a whole package, I think the movie was great.
Yep.
My complaints at the beginning and the end are just that. I feel that is like, I get the setups. I didn't quite care for the payoff, but everything else in between then, golden. Obviously the audience is responding to this. $23 million opening weekend.
Based.
So
is this I read a tweet. I don't know. You tell me if you agree. This is Warner Brothers' first hit of 2023.
It might be their only hit of 2023.
Oh, come on, The Flash, bro, get out of here.
Well, you know what?
Are you descending? Are you going away?
No. I want to see the Flash.
Okay.
I'm there for the Flash. But I mean, it's like I don't know, man. I don't know. If Guardians 3 is taking a lackluster launching point so far, the Flash might have some problems. Batman or no. I don't know what's going on. I think superhero fatigue might actually be a real freaking
finally
thing.
Happening, man.
Only took damn near 20 years.
I know, right? But finally, the grifters gets to say I was right?
Yeah, I know. Well, hey, at least we have
bro.
At least we have a lot of good horror to watch.
Yep, and I think now what it does is going to make it things a little more interesting in terms of like chances being taken, stuff like that. I think we're going to get more artistic stuff.
I hope so. I really hope so. I would love to see lower budget, under 30 million movies get the opportunity, to come on. I don't even know what the budget of this one was. What was the budget of this movie? Let me quickly tell you. $19 million budget.
19.
And they spent it very well.
Damn. Okay. I heard it was 10, but yeah, 19.
Well, 19 maybe with reshoots or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. You're right. They had they've been sitting on this one for a while too, right? It was like 4 years, right, or something.
They started filming it in June of 2021. So it's been
2020.
almost 2 years. Yeah, they wrapped up filming October 27th, 2021.
Damn. I could have
It's
sworn it was
craziness.
yeah.
I know. It's been sitting there for a while, but maybe we're probably gonna get some sequels off this one.
Finally. Hey, and there's been theories, man. Multiple books of the dead. I think so. I think it tracks.
I
Think
heard
it
about
tracks.
that theory as well. Multiple books of the Necronomicon. It would
Mhm.
open up for more of an anthology type thing that could lead to a massive Evil Dead movie, right?
Yeah.
Like The World Dead or something. And I don't know if they need to do that, but they also need to find a way to expand past this formula, right?
Yeah.
Like changing up the college kids to a family works
Mhm. Yeah.
once. That the isolation and the fear only really works sometimes. Like, you know, like look at Evil Dead 2 to Army of Darkness. It's
Yeah.
so crazy. It's so crazy, but my God, do I love Army of Darkness?
Mhm.
You know, and it's like I own that on 4K.
Yeah, so do I.
You know, and it's such a great movie, and it's like that kind of weird progression feels relatively natural. Also, the original ending of Army of Darkness, where he overtakes the drops and he goes by, he sleeps for another 100 years, Rip Van Winkle style, like that could have been the craziness. There's also been all the Marvel comics
Maybe they'll
where
bring it back.
Ash has teamed up, so they have stories to tell. Maybe we can finally get lucky and we can get Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, which would be awesome.
One can only hope.
One can only hope. Anyway, so real quick, Perp, I know you've been on for a while. Thank you so much, man. What are your final thoughts of the movie? Recommend, don't recommend?
No, totally recommend. I think it's great. And above all, I think it's a good movie. Like I think they made a good movie out of like the Evil Dead franchise, which is a very strange thing because I think like the first remake is a good horror film. I think this is just a good movie, you know? Like I don't know how else to explain it. I think I'm looking forward to seeing it again. Totally recommend. Loved it.
Yeah, I recommend seeing it in theaters if you can. If anything, the sound design sells it and makes the trip worth it. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with us for the last hour. We really appreciate it. And if you have your thoughts on the movie, let me know down below. We'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day and peace the hell out.